Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Backstage Spotlight. Today I'm with the lovely Natasha. Hello.
Hi.
How are you today? Do you have a busy day ahead of you?
I'm good. It's not too busy. I'm having a catch up with my agent and then I have one show.
Nice.
So it's actually quite nice and calm. I was away this weekend. So
Oh, how was
back to
that?
it, back to the grind. It was
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh, I saw
Just a little long
photos.
weekend away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looked
I
amazing. I
really
hope you
enjoyed
had a
it.
lovely time. Before we
It
start,
was lovely.
I have something quite funny to say. I'm actually coming to see
Okay.
the show tonight.
Are you? No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and it's such a
Oh
coincidence
my God.
because like I didn't book it like when I booked it and having this podcast today, like I put two and two together
Yeah,
2 days ago and I was like, I'm going to see the show on the
that's so funny. I'm obsessed. Oh my God, how fun. Yay. Well, I'll be there.
well, I
I'll
will
see you
be
there.
there. Can't wait. So,
Amazing.
for the people listening, would you like to say what show you're in and who you're playing?
Yes. Uh, I am in The Devil Wears Prada and I am part of the ensemble.
Great. And for those who haven't seen the film or seen the musical, do you just want to give
Mhm.
like a brief overview of the story of the show?
Oh gosh, if you haven't seen the movie, you need to go and watch the movie.
Yeah.
That is a staple. But it's about a character, Andy, she lives in New York with her boyfriend, and she's kind of struggling and finding her path. She wants to be a writer, and she's kind of gone through every avenue. She's done all the interviews, and she ends up interviewing for this fashion magazine to be the personal assistant to the editor in chief, Miranda Priestley. And she ends up booking. You don't say booking when it's not musical theatre. She ends up getting that job. She ends up getting that job, and then it kind of just goes on this journey with her of her growing as her own person, discovering the world of fashion, and yeah, and everything it entails to work at this fashion magazine runway. Yeah, and you go on just a bit of a journey of her growth and discovering who she really wants to be and like what path is correct for her, basically.
Great. Yeah, and it is
It's fun.
classic film. So if you haven't watched
It
that
is a
film,
classic
yeah,
film.
you have to watch it. And obviously the
You do.
musical is has songs in it and they were written by Elton John. Is it to perform his work?
They were. I I feel like it's actually kind of weird. Like you have to disassociate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to disassociate to the fact that you like kind of know him, he knows your name, you've met him and worked in the same room. Um, but I think the music is like one of the biggest parts of the show. I love the music. The whole team who worked creatively on the music from Elton down, like are just incredible, like genuine geniuses. Um, so it's just a huge honor, really. Like, what
Yeah.
more can you say? Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think the music is incredible. It's really fun. It's really poppy. Some songs you're like, you can really strongly be like, oh, that is Elton, which
Oh,
I think is really
really?
cool too. Yeah, yeah. There's one that I'm like, oh, you can just hear him singing it. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's so good.
I can't wait to hear it tonight. So what would a pre-show look like for you? What do you do to prepare to get into character, or when do you do your makeup? When do you arrive at the theatre?
I like to be early.
Yeah.
I like to be early. I can't be turning up when warm up starts. So I'll usually get there. I'll grab a coffee or a matcha and I'll clock in like half an hour before our warm up. I'm usually one of the first. There's usually like two or three of us in my dressing room who like to get there early too. And then I'll just sit and calmly do my makeup. I'm not, I'm always in a rush actually, but I don't like to rush.
Yeah.
But I'm always rushing usually. So that's like my me time. I'll probably listen to a little bit of music, or if the other girls are in, we'll have a chat, we'll have a catch up. And yeah, just do my makeup. And then I think really in terms of like getting prepared for the show, for me, that's warm up to be on stage and ground yourself, with the whole company. You're like looking out at this incredible theater, which, is such a privilege. So that's very much like Zen time for me. Um, we do our physical, and then during vocal warm up, it's like getting in the zone, gratitude, and yeah, getting ready for the show. And then
So,
yeah, it's just kind of full steam ahead from there, getting
yeah.
yeah, wigs on and costume on and going for it.
Yeah, for sure. So formerly you were in Mamma Mia the musical as well. So it's not your
Yeah,
first experience in the West End, but I wanted to ask
it's
you about what it is like to book a job that is in the West End.
honestly, so I don't know if you know this, but I'm Australian. So I grew up in Australia, and I don't like it's hard to explain, but I mean, I guess it's not really that hard to explain. But in Australia, the West End and Broadway are like this unreachable, like the next level beyond anything you can ever comprehend. So when I had first moved here, it was during COVID. It was all like, it never really was my intention. It was my intention, it was my dream, but I didn't think I was necessarily there yet. And I just was so lucky in that I managed to book Mamma Mia. That was my first show. So it was like it's I don't know, beyond it's what I've always wanted. So booking a show in a musical on what, I've always deemed to be like the highest of the high is just insane. I
Wow.
cry every time because
Oh,
obviously why wouldn't you? It's my dream, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
what a fantastic achievement. I want to ask you about auditions and your experience
Mhm.
in audition rooms. Firstly, how do you prepare for an audition once you've found out that you've been called in?
I think it depends on what the call is, because sometimes you'll get called for a character, sometimes you're called for ensemble, sometimes it's a dance call, sometimes it's a singing call, sometimes they're already giving you like sides and songs to learn, and sometimes you have to come in with your own stuff. So I guess you're looking at that, you're looking at, do you have to do any research if it's a character that you're coming in for, or do you want to do any research, for your peace of mind? I often end up, especially when I'm a little bit like, if I've done a few rounds, I end up deep on the internet, looking at the past people who've played the role, looking into the role, and if it's based off a film, which both of the musicals that I've done have been based off films, I'm watching the movie to get into the zone, to like find the heart of it. Um, but if it's just a general call, I think just, you have your songs in your rep, um, and you just have to trust yourself and be like, yeah, I can do this. If you're going in for a dance call where you're just going to learn stuff there, it's just a case of, getting up, making sure you've eaten something, doing your own little warm up at home, maybe doing your makeup, packing your bag, feeling as prepared as you can, because everything's unknown when you get in there. So it really varies. It really depends on what the call is, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. So obviously, Mamma Mia, when you joined the cast, it had already been established for a few years. The choreography
Hmm.
was set in stone. Um,
Hmm.
it was kind of, you joined and you did what they've previously done. Whereas Devil Wears Prada
Yeah.
is new. How did that rehearsal process differ from your experience rehearsing for Mamma Mia?
Gosh, like night and day. My goodness. This process has been, for the Devil Wears Prada, has been the most intense, insane whirlwind of a job. I can't even, yeah, going into a pre-existing show, both have their own, positives and negatives and joy. Going into a pre-existing show, it's it's not easy. It's obviously still hard, but it's easy. Everything's predetermined, your costume even. So you go in, you get to learn the track. You usually do that in like, I don't know, 3 weeks. Then you have a week of tech, and then you're up and you're running. Whereas for this, we started the creative process um, in January last year.
Wow.
Um, and it's been a year, and we've only just opened. Essentially, we opened December. Um, so it's been, and yeah, it's just constant changes, rehearsals. Yeah, it's, I'm
Mad.
stuttering now, but yeah, night and day. It's just such a long process, and um, positives and negatives in terms of incredible to be part of, but so much hard work. So much hard
Oh,
work. Like the work that this team has put into this show, yeah, to see it firsthand is wild
yeah, I can imagine
and
that
to be
that's
part of
just
it.
such an honor to be in the room when that's happening and having
Yeah,
people who have, been thinking about this for so long and they're finally getting the chance to workshop it with the
yeah.
performers that are going to be delivering it to the public. I mean, that's just such
Mm.
an incredible thing to be a part of. I wanted to ask you about how they would set a scene, for example. So, would they take it from the movie and then you'd go from there, or was it kind of like a blank canvas creative process?
A bit of both. I
Yeah.
think Jerry Mitchell, who is our director, he has very strong visions of what he sees in his mind. Um, so we would often he would have a very clear idea in his brain of where he wanted to set things and how he wanted it to be and how many people he wanted to be there. And then from there it would grow. It wouldn't necessarily stay exactly like that. It would be like, oh, actually, this isn't working. What if we do this? And what if we do that? Um, Script wise, our amazing team who were on the script, they it was a balance. A lot of it comes from the film because those are the classic moments that people want to see replicated. And then a lot of it was their own funny little jokes too, and little moments to develop the characters in a way that obviously would fit for the stage.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, a bit of a mix. Um, in terms of setting scenes though, yeah, he knows what he's got the vision. He knows what he wants, and yeah, it would often just roll from there.
Yeah, great. What's the busiest part of the show for you?
The whole show. um, so it's it's a musical about fashion. So we have a lot of costume changes.
Oh, wow.
So for
How many
instance, in the
costumes do
first
you have?
act, oh, one. Gosh, let me count. One, two, three, four. I think I probably have like I have seven, I think, and I think
Wow.
I'm probably someone who has like one of the smallest amounts
Oh my
of
goodness.
costumes. Other people have like two or three more than that
Yeah.
potentially,
Wow.
in the ensemble at least. So for the ensemble, if you don't see us on stage, we are running backstage. We are changing our costume, changing our wigs, running from one side of the stage to the other. We don't have like a back corridor. You have to go like out some doors, up a couple stairs,
No.
around, down some other stairs. So yeah, when we're not on stage, we are in the quick change areas. We are running around backstage. We have a wardrobe village at the back of the stage with wigs and makeup too. So yeah, we're changing costumes and then we're running back downstage to do BVs and then we're coming back up to get the rest of our costume on. So the whole thing is really busy for the ensemble. It doesn't feel necessarily busy on stage, but if we're not on stage, we're usually like running around backstage. The second act is a little bit more chill for us. Um, yeah, so the whole first act really, we're just kind of
Wow. I'll be
going
thinking that when I'm
immediately as soon as
watching.
it starts.
I'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
they're all running around now, getting their wig,
yeah,
their makeup done. Oh, brilliant.
literally.
What is your favorite part to do on stage?
Mm. I guess it kind of changes, but I like all the big ensemble numbers. Um, when the full cast is on stage and we're all singing together. There's this moment in our like Met Gala scene where we're all on stage singing together, and I love that. That's really fun. Yeah, I think just when the whole company, the whole ensemble is on stage and um it's just fun. It's fun because I
Nice.
think like I don't interact. There's a few tracks that I don't necessarily get to interact with. So when we're all on stage together, it's good vibes.
So nice. If you could give some advice to someone who wants to go into the industry, maybe they're in training, maybe they're just thinking
Mhm,
about wanting to pursue performing as a career, what piece of
mhm.
advice would you give them that you wish someone had given you when you were that age?
That I wish someone had given me. To be honest, I think I've always had the same mindset. I think if you're unsure, well, actually, if you're unsure, try and see where it gets you. If you are sure, persevere. That's my number one, my number one thing, hands down, is just persevere. And it is so hard and it is such a grind. But if it is what you love and your number one passion, you will get there. You just have to have this innate trust in yourself. It's such a funny industry because you have to go through this constant rejection and be up against all these other incredible people, and at the same time have this other track in your mind at the same time as having been told no a million times, where you just are aware that you're going to get there. You have to know that you're going to get there 100%. And it's just perseverance. Perseverance is the absolute key. Everyone's careers are so different. Some people go into jobs straight out of college. Some, like, yeah. And I think I'm kind of testimony to that. I didn't start performing until I was in my 20s. And Mamma Mia was my first musical. And I've always loved musical theater, but I did a bunch of other jobs which were incredible and taught me so much. Um, but if you don't have that innate belief in yourself, then I think it can be really hard, and knowledge that it's truly what you want to do. Yeah, persevere because you will get there.
Yeah.
Um, you just have to keep going, and it can be hard at times, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Mindset is
worth
really
it.
important. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, in the future, if you could choose a job for yourself and it can be
Mhm,
something that, isn't even in the West End at the moment, isn't, could be a
mhm.
film, could be something on Broadway, what would be like your dream job to do?
God, I always find this so hard because honestly, there are so many.
Oh, I
And
know.
like I've gone into auditions before for unknown, like, well, like title unknown, where they're not allowed to tell you the title of the musical
Yeah.
yet. Um, and you always go into those scenarios like, oh, I don't really know, because you can't do your research. So you're just like, oh, we'll just see what happens. And then sometimes you just meet the most incredible people, and the creative team is so incredible. And you think, oh God, I want to do this so bad. When before you were like, I don't know, I'm just going to go and see what it's like. And I think it's really the vibe in audition rooms that can change your mind on if you really want to do something, or if you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Um, Obviously, there are the big things like get me in Hamilton ASAP.
Yes.
Obviously, I think that's one I would love to be in. And then I don't know, shows that aren't even on the West End yet, like Anastasia. I love Anastasia, and
That
if
needs
that
to
came here,
come.
that would be
So good.
so fun. So I hope that gets here one day. And then also I love doing everything. Like I would love to be in a TV series or a film as well. I haven't really ticked that off properly yet. So I have goals, but they're ever changing, and
Yes.
the list is kind of varied. Like being in a new musical was one of the things on my list that I was like, oh, hopefully I can do that one day. So I'm lucky enough to have ticked that off. But there's so many. So it's a hard question.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. Good,
but
good
yeah.
answers though. So hopefully we'll see you in the shows in the future. So
Yeah.
obviously
Wink,
when
wink. Nudge, nudge.
yeah, exactly. So obviously when you're younger, performance is a passion, it's a hobby. And when you
Hmm.
get older and it becomes your career, you obviously have that
Hmm.
space where, it's your work and you need something for downtime because what performance used to be, when performance used to be your downtime, it's now your career.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you do nowadays to disconnect from work, even though it's the best thing ever and it's such a great job because you enjoy what you do?
Yeah. I think like having a variety of different things that you can go to. I love to travel, so when that's possible, like having something in the diary that you can really look forward
Yes.
to is always really helpful. And then day to day, I love the gym and I love swimming, so I'll always join a gym that
Nice.
has a pool. Um, and that's like very much my weekly me time where I just switch my brain off.
Yes.
Um, I also love nature, so I'll try and go on walks with my friends. Sometimes we'll go out of London and do, longer walks. And even just catching up with friends in London, like making sure there are regular things that you can do where you're not necessarily just talking about the job. Um, you're out and about, you're doing other stuff. So yeah, catching up with friends. I think the gym and spending time in nature, if possible, is those are probably like my main switch off my brain. Oh, and I read a lot.
Yes. Nice.
Actually, I read a lot so that if work is really hard, if you catch me reading at work, it's because I'm finding it a bit hard and I just need to turn my brain off.
Oh.
So I have my Kindle with me at all times. That's also my number one.
It's good to have lots of different things to do. So that's really good. Um, the last question I always ask all of my podcast guests is if you could nominate someone to come on this podcast and tell us a bit about their career, like impart their knowledge to the listeners,
Oh
who
my
would it be?
gosh.
And I'll try and reach out to them to see if they'll come on.
Oh my gosh. This is hard. Let me think. I'm trying to think like who I want to know their backstory. Or just like one of my friends who I think are, I mean, I've got loads of incredible friends
It can literally be
um
anyone.
who are in really fun things. I'm gonna like go crazy and say like Eva Noblezada because the icon that she is. Um, or someone like, I mean, she's coming to the West End, but I'm coming back to the With End. Um, oh God, this is hard. What do people say?
They say like people they worked
Um,
with or like creatives
yeah, people they
are
worked with.
interesting.
Oh, creatives is a good one. Oh my God, so many options. I have like so many options running through my head. Luca Chadwick Patel, who is in Mean Girls at the moment.
Okay.
He is incredible. Um, or have you had anyone from, you should get someone from like Wigs in as well. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
that would be
Like from
so
hair and
good.
makeup. That would be amazing. I have so many names in my brain. Um,
If you, well,
yeah, from our Wigs team.
send me a
But
text with some of the names on
I
and I'll
will.
just
Yeah.
message them like
Yeah, you should get
their links or something. Send me
some
their,
Wham team on. I think that'd be
yes,
amazing.
that would be so, so good. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. It's been lovely to chat to
You're
you
so
and I'll see you
welcome.
tonight on
Thank you.
stage.
Yes, how exciting.
I
Can't
can't wait. I'll be like,
wait. I need to
woohoo!
know where you're sitting so I can wave at you.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I'm sat. Oh, well, fantastic. Everybody listening, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Go and follow Natasha, go see Devil Wears Prada, and we'll see you in the next episode next week. Goodbye. Thank you. Take care.
Bye, thank you.